there's something missing here. So this house we bought a year ago, first thing we noticed was there's no gutters. And so, to no surprise, we had water issues in the basement, which we knew was going to be an issue. So I've just got finished renovating the whole entire lower level. If you've been following along with that, the whole link to that series will be up in the description there, up in your upper right-hand corner. Click on that little eye and you can check those videos out. A lot of cool renovation stuff there. Okay, so for those of you guys who follow us on Instagram and Facebook, there you saw me there in Home Depot picking all this stuff out. So I did buy everything from Home Depot. You can get this stuff at any home improvement center, lumber yard, whatever. I chose to go with aluminum. I do not like vinyl. I don't like plastic. I don't like anything here with the cold and hot and cold and hot and the sun and all that kind of stuff. Vinyl is not going to last that long. This metal will last much longer. And so we're going all aluminum here, with the exception of this one fitting that I couldn't find in metal. At Home Depot anyway. This is a vinyl fitting, so I guess if anything fails, it'll probably be that. So what I have is I've obviously got my gutters. These are 5-inch K style gutters, they're called. I've got some downspout here, got some various fittings, some transitions from a kind of a horizontal to a vertical, and I've got a few extra little pieces here just in case we need just a little piece rather than cutting. These were only $1 or $2. I've got the type of brackets I'm using for the downspouts are kind of a hidden bracket, so this goes up against the wall, and then the downspout clips into it that way, and then there's just a screw on either side. So you'll see the downspout, but you won't see too much of the bracket, which I think is nicer. Got a few various kinds of 45s. These are connectors, so these are metal connectors, so you connect two pieces of gutter together. I'm using these metal screw-in gutter brackets. I don't see the point in using a nail. It seems like nails always work their way out in gutters, even the professionally installed ones. So I'm going to use these. We've got various types of ends here. So we've got right and left hand end caps for the gutters themselves. I've got some various types of adhesive here. There is adhesive that comes in these packages for the connectors, but I also got a couple of these. I think it might even be the same kind. Gutter seal. So this will be any joints or anything like that. This will be sealed. I also have some touch-up paint because I'm sure I'll scratch some stuff, and this is all right there with their gutter stuff. I did need to buy a tool. This is a simple crimping tool. It just crimps the corners, so you end up with a crimp kind of like this. Actually, this piece is already split up, but so it crimps the corners in there so you can feed this into the regular size end of another piece. And of course we got some stainless steel screws with white heads on. These are hex screws, so these should be pretty easy to install for all of my hangers and anything like that. And then down here I have my downspout adapter. So this will go on the end, an end cap will go on one side of this, and then your downspout just gets screwed right into the bottom of this and kind of hangs from it in a way. And so this will be used to attach our downspouts. And we have to be careful of our mama duck. Oh, she's built herself a little nest over here, and she's sitting on her eggs. And man, does she get mad when you come by. Never heard a duck hiss, but now I have. Okay, so the first thing we want to do as much on the ground as possible. And so I've got my first section of gutter here and one of my end caps, my left cap. And so this is gonna get installed here, and this will start the gutter series down the line. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just add some of the sealant to the end cap, and kind of, I don't want to add too much because it starts to squeeze all out the sides. I have a habit of adding too much, but I can wipe it off, it's all right. And then these will fit right on to the end of the gutter you want to cap off. I had found this other crimping type tool. I don't actually know what this is for. It's maybe a sheet metal crimper or something like that. This is what I've been using. It works okay. You could also use screws and zip a couple of those little white screws to the end here. That would be just fine also. It may not look quite as nice from the ground, but that's definitely an option. So I'm just going to take the crimper here in one or two places and just go ahead and crimp the metal together. So this just helps give me a good connection. The sealant's going to hold it on there as well as your crimped area. So we'll get this sealant wiped off here. Okay, and then you just want to go around the inside and kind of caulk up the crack. And this is why people get seamless gutters. You know, you have a professional come out, they extrude the gutter right out on site, and it's all one piece. You don't have to do a lot of this kind of stuff with connecting them and everything else and sealing stuff up, but man, is there a cost difference, I'll tell you that. So very similar process with the seam here. I'm just going to put a little bit of sealant on one side, the side that I'm going to set the gutter in. You don't want to put too much because again it's going to smash all out and make a mess. So you can just take that and set it about halfway. Press that in. And then there's an ear here at the top of this that will fold over. And you just want to pinch it down on this side. I'm going to leave this side open because our next piece of gutter is going to come in there. So that holds this together pretty good. And then also on this side, you can kind of roll that underneath with your fingers. It's not too hard to press. You could probably take a pair of pliers or needle nose or something and clip that together. Now I can use my crimping tool again and get those kind of set together a little better. It's also the same process for the end pieces here that our downspouts are going to attach to. So you can go ahead and put your end cap on all of those and get those all sealed up, and we'll have all that stuff set aside and ready to put up. Once you have all that done, we'll be ready to start hanging this stuff. All right, so we're going to get our first piece hung up here, and so I'm using our screw-in hidden brackets, which I have been working really well. They're a little more expensive, but man, I like these things. So I just throw a bunch of them in the gutter, and since I'm doing this by myself, I like to kind of get in the middle. And remember, we got to have slope on this, so my left-hand side is going to be all the way up to the roof, and then I'm going to come down about maybe quarter of an inch on that end. All right, so that's going to give us a decent little drop here. These hangers need to be installed every 2 feet, so we'll have one at the end, one about there, one right about here. Doesn't have to be perfect. And they just hook underneath the outside edge, and then they fit right over, and I'll show you some close-ups of this. They fit right over the back edge there. If you can line these up with your roof joists that are coming down. You can look usually at the flashing here, and you can see where the nail holes are, and usually if the person that installed the flashing did it well, they installed the nails at the end of each of those. Otherwise, there's the facing here, this board should, be sufficient. But I would say at least get one or two of the hangers right in the joists on each length of gutter here. Now you can just keep moving down the line. Now that we have a place to set our gutter, you can do this by yourself pretty easily. So before I go any further, I'm just going to check this level. And I just want to make sure my bubble is off to, in this case, off to the left. I want the water to flow down this way. So as long as my bubble is off to the left, you know, touching or a little bit past the line, and I should have a good enough slope. Looks pretty good. I'll go back to my seam here. Make sure this is all buttoned up the same way I did before. All right, so for our last piece here, it's not quite 10 feet, so I've taken a measurement. In this case, we're gonna put our end piece I've already put together right up here. Now, what you can do is, you know, you could put your piece right here and then have another little piece that slopes back to it here. I don't want to add extra seams, and so I'm just going to end the gutter right a little bit short, so my pipe comes right down the edge right here. So there'll be about 6 inches at the end of the roof there where, you know, it's not catching water, but we can live with that. So I've got my measurement already. Let's go show you how we're getting this stuff cut. Okay, so I've made this little kind of jig here, this cutting jig. It works really well for the downspouts. Basically, I just set the downspout in here at the length I need. I've got these scrap pieces of flooring that kind of pinch it into place, and I use this to cut the downspouts. So for the gutter here, I have my measurement, and I'm just going to set this down here about right there. All right, so we need 15 inches from face to face. They do go into each other about an inch, inch and a half, so I'm going to add on 2.5 inches, so we'll go to 17.5 inches, go a little bit long on it, and that'll be our cut. I'm using my little jig here to hold everything tight. As this Sawzall will rattle this stuff all apart. And let's go ahead and get it cut. Man, look at that thing. I've never seen a spider like that here. Just caught a bee on camera. It's a honeybee too. Stealing my honeybees. All right, so here's the finished product, and everything looks pretty good. There's obviously some disadvantages to having, you know, dealing with the seams. That's why people pay extra for somebody to come out and extrude a seamless gutter. There's definitely some some little issues with the seams. They don't always come out exactly right, and the sealant works really well. They all seem to seal. None of them seem to leak. It actually rained the other day, and I tested the other side, and everything held water really well. So, but you know, things like this that we could have done differently. So you can, instead of buying these little adapters here, you can just get there's a little sleeve that fits right in the bottom, and you can drill your own hole. And so then I could have the gutter come all the way to the end, and it look a little nicer. I wouldn't have to deal with like extra seams or whatever. So that would have been something I could have done that would have been a little nicer. So everything else turned out pretty well. The slope on everything was a little bit hard to maintain, but I did get that down pretty good, and I think they're sloped more than they need to be, but that's fine. This one here just is going to dump on the roof, and then that goes down into here. I didn't want it to dump directly toward the gutter. I could have put it on the face of the house here and had it dump this way, but then if it's raining really hard, it'll flood right over the top of the gutter. I think this way it'll shoot out onto the roof and kind of spread out before it hits the next gutter down. So the hidden hangers worked really well, and you know, everything worked out pretty good. So I'm happy with it. And as far as cost difference, you're looking at probably 25% to 35% of the cost that it would have cost if I would have had someone come out. So this probably would have been a $1,000 job. I did it for about $250. So it's you know, there's a big cost difference. So I guess if you're looking at doing gutters yourself, I have a lot of gutter projects to do. I'm going to do our garage, I'm going to do our barn, and I guess I should have probably practiced on those first before I did this, but everything turned out pretty good. I'm happy with it. The idea here is to get the water away from the house, and I think I've accomplished that. It took me about an afternoon worth of work, about 4 or 5 hours to get everything done on both sides, maybe 6 hours with everything. And so, you know, it wasn't too bad as far as labor and time is concerned. So, but questions or comments, guys, please let me know. I'm sure that there's lots of things I could have changed. One of the things I definitely would recommend is they do have a rivet, like a little handheld rivet deal, and you can get actual rivets for these, and you can really put those seams together better with rivets. That would have been something I should have invested in and done. You also can use screws, and I probably should have done that. That little seamer thing I was using, that was, I think, a siding notcher. It definitely wasn't for this, but it did work. So use what you have, right? But anyway, guys, as always, thank you for watching. Please hit thumbs up on the video, and I'd love to get your feedback and questions. If you have them, throw them down below. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good one.